Ms. Rudik, welcome. Thank you so much for being on our program. You're in Kiev right now?
Thank you so much for having me. Hello. Yes,
Hi.
I'm in Kiev.
Thank you. The mayor of Kiev, Klitschko, has mentioned yesterday that all the Kiev region is now free of Russian troops. Is that your experience?
Right. On the ground, we have seen that Russians are not here anymore. We have also witnessed that the devastation that they left behind. I was yesterday at the outskirts of the city, and what I have seen, I would never be able to forget. It was bodies on the sides of the road in the peaceful neighborhoods. It was people who were killed having their hands tied behind their backs. And there were at least 2 mass graves with women and children who were burned and then buried somewhere near the center of these suburbs. So what was happening there is absolutely devastating, and it makes it even the worse that this is what is happening at the other occupied areas of my country, the east of it, the Mariupol and Volnovakha and other cities. You cannot even start imagining the horror and the death that is happening there.
Yeah. So you went there yourself yesterday and you witnessed these civilian deaths, I assume?
Yes, they were all civilians, and they were all just people who didn't flee their homes, who were standing there. You should imagine that it was just like a month ago, it was normal suburbs where people in their 30s would go to move to raise children, and it would look nice and would be quiet and will be created just for a peaceful life that people had. And right now, it looks like hell. It looks like Armageddon happened there. And people are dead for nothing. So they were not asked for money. They were not asked for, secrets or anything. Russians just came in there and killed them with no particular reason. And this is why I want to be at the trial that will happen. I'm sure it will happen at some point. I want to ask these questions like, why? For what? Like, what they were trying to achieve with these deaths?
Yeah. Is that, if you've seen all this, what is your view? Is Russia retreating or are they regrouping?
So we have an experience with war with Russia. For the last 8 years, we were fighting them on our eastern borders. And I can tell you for sure that they are not pulling back. They are regrouping. They're probably attacking the southern cities and the eastern cities. They have seen that they will not be able to take Kyiv. And though they are retreating on the ground from here, they continue shelling of our cities. So just like 15 minutes ago, the air raid siren here in Kyiv went off. When they announced that they will be retreating, it was the most extensive shelling of Kyiv since the beginning of the war. So the explosions were here and there, and it was, again, devastating. And now I have in my Telegram, I have all the channels from all the main cities of Ukraine. And I see when their leaders are reporting that there's an air raid siren, and I see like it bam, 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 bam every night. So the whole Ukraine is under attack. And in the whole Ukraine, people are hiding in their basements. They are frustrated. They are devastated. They are living in this horror. We recently received this diary from a girl, 16 years girl, who was evacuated from Mariupol. And this is something that you cannot read without your tears. About how they were with her mom and her brother and their neighbors in the basement, how they were eating pigeons, and how then her mom died and she started to stink, and her stepfather took her out and was killed as well, and how she was trying to stay at the basement with those dead bodies and closed her brother's eyes with the mom's scarf so he wouldn't see all of this. This is not getting into your head. This is just something that should not be happening in Europe in 21st century.
No.
In the country that is so progressive, in the country that is fighting so hard. This should not be happening. And this is again, is tearing my heart apart.
Yeah. Your president has spoken to our parliament this week about these atrocities as well. And he said the West should stop importing Russian oil and gas to defund the aggression that's happening in your country. What do you say to Western countries who are still importing oil and gas from Russia?
I think the issue is far more global. So there are at least 4 things that we do need right now as a country, as a support. So the first is obviously sanctions and stop funding Russia in any case. It's not only importing gas and oil, which we ask, like every single dollar that is going right now to Russia is being used to torture Ukrainian people right here. We are not so far from Netherlands. You know that it's right here. And it is happening because many countries for so long were paying Russia so they could accumulate funds and then attack innocent people in my country. I want to encourage everybody to stop doing business with Russia, to stop, to close all their representative offices in Russia and make sure that $0 is going to them. The second point is obviously their weaponry. And I'm so frustrated that on day 38 of Ukrainian war, and on day 1, we were asking for the same thing. We were asking to close the air for us, to close the skies. And
if I may interrupt you there, I'm so sorry to have to interrupt you, but a no-fly zone still seems very unlikely now. As you say, at day 58 of the war. Is there any scenario where it's acceptable that Ukraine will give up any part of its country in order to negotiate a peace deal?
No, we are not giving up any part of our country. This is definite. And when we are talking about no-fly zone, it may not be imposed the way that the West is so afraid to do. But we can get the jets to fight ourselves. We can get the anti-air force systems to fight ourselves. This will be the weapons that we need to fight Russians back. We are fighting so bravely. We are fighting them on the ground so well that they are retreating. So the thing that we are asking is give us the tools, give us the weapons so we can fight them in the air as well. Yeah. So the third thing that we do really need is supplies. And we are grateful for the supplies that we are receiving, but I want to remind everybody that we are fighting one of the largest armies in the world. And we are spending and expanding so much supplies every single day that it's the whole world is helping us to cover for it. And the fourth thing that I'm extremely grateful for is the humanitarian aid and taking care of our refugees. Yeah. These are the things that we will never forget from the countries that are our friends, who took care of the people who are fleeing away from the death, from the destruction, from their fear for their children, that now have a place to live. And I'm grateful for that.
Now, Ms. Rudik, you live in Kiev. We just, before this program started, we chatted about your cat and your garden. But you must also be very scared. I mean, you're really defiant, but you must be scared as well. How do you handle the fear that comes with living in a war?
Well, honestly, I made this decision on the day 1 that I will stay here and I will be fighting for my motherland. It's hard to make this decision, but then it's much easier to live with it. That what you do every day, you train to be a better fighter, you support your refugees, you support your resistance teams, you busy yourself with all kinds of work, you work in the parliament, and then you are much less scared because you know that you are doing everything that possible and impossible so you wouldn't have to die. Yeah. But we are all ready. We are all ready to fight and die for our motherland. We know that there will be no other place in the world for us. So this is why we will have to fight, and we will be. And you see us fighting.
Yeah. Ms. Rudik, thank you so much for your talk, and keep up over there. Thank you.
Thank you, and glory to Ukraine.
Bedankt voor het kijken. Vond je dit een goed gesprek? Vergeet je dan niet te abonneren. Een like of een reactie achterlaten kan natuurlijk ook. Of bekijk een van de andere interviews op dit kanaal.